This is Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. On a feel good Friday morning, you're tuned into the Smooth Breakfast, your perfect start to your mornings, 32 minutes past 7 a.m. And my name is Ayokunmi. It's time to get you into the papers. Take a look at what's going on in the dailies across Nigeria. We take the stories, we get analysis as well, because this is freshly pressed and ever interactive session. So we always look to you to come through and, of course, give your takes on the stories, your perspectives, your opinions as well. And hey, experiences, they matter. So WhatsApp is the way to go. 0809 4440981. 0809 4440981 is the WhatsApp number. You can also join us on YouTube where we are streaming live. You can catch us at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. And, my analysts are in this morning to give their perspective and break the stories down for us, give us better understanding. Joseph, Obari, and of course, Bozimo are in with me this morning. Good morning to you, gentlemen.
Good morning. Great to be here, Sir Joseph. Great to be here. Ion, good morning to all of the wonderful listeners out there. Happy Friday to you all.
Thanks to be good to see you again, and welcome every listener wherever you are.
All right, absolutely fantastic having you on. Feel Good Friday, feel good all the way. We're looking at the weekend, but before then, let's pause, hit the brakes, and begin us, our journey in the punch. So, Joseph, I'm going to come to you with this one. Developments coming out of a river states here. I mean, it feels like 1 week, one trouble. Wilson Tagbo. For those who read that book, River State is in the news once again. Now, the Court of Appeal, Abuja Division, on Thursday affirmed Martin Amaewhule. I hope I got that pronunciation correct. AB, correct me if I'm wrong.
Very correct.
As a recognized Speaker of the River State House of Assembly. Now, a three-member panel of the Court of Appeal in a unanimous judgment dismissed the appeal filed by the River State Governor, Siminalayi Fubara, for lacking in merit. Joseph, can you just give us a legal perspective here? I mean, it's a matter of the court. This has happened. And the court held that Governor Fubara's decision to present the 2024 River State Appropriation Bill to only 4 out of 31 members of the Assembly constituted a gross violation of the 1999 Constitution as amended. Break it down for us.
All right, so there are two issues at play. First of all, before I go anywhere, I just say that this is just one scene out of the many dramas of River State, right? And this judgment just adds to a litany of dramas that have been coming from River State. And sadly, that's my state, that this is happening. There are two issues at stake. One issue is the defection of the 26 or 27 lawmakers, of which Amaewhule is one of them. That is not the issue that was before this court. The issue before this court was whether the Amaewhule remains the Speaker of the House of Assembly, River State, and whether the budget passed by the 4 members who have been sitting is legitimate. Now, the River State government and Fubara and his team, they fell into a trap that was laid for them. When they had this whole trouble and they went to the president, summoned them, the president asked them to withdraw their cases.
Okay.
Fubara, I would say naively, politically naively, withdrew his own cases. But the other parties, the other faction, refused to withdraw. So he actually withdrew his processes, which means including affidavit, he swore, and all of that was in the court. He took them out. These other people didn't do any such thing. So this judgment says you didn't participate in the judgment. Of course, the court went ahead and delivered judgment since this man withdrew from the case. And the other party that filed the action did not withdraw the case completely. So it was like a trap set for them, and they fell for it. So the judgment is legitimate in the sense that it's looking at what is before it. It's legitimate. It's looking at what's before. It's not looking at the other external factor, whether they defected, are they still members of the House of Assembly or whatever. It's just saying
that's a different story entirely.
It's a different story altogether. And so, now, of course, you know that there is no how River State government is going to allow this to stand. they are going to appeal them. In fact, I read this that the Attorney General of the state has already appealed. They even filed a stay of execution of this judgment. So we see this case going up to the Supreme Court. Now, the issue of defection is a different matter altogether, which is being battled at a different stage in the courts. So we need to see how this really unfolds eventually. But of course, the Rivers State government will never allow this judgment to stand. That's why they're appealing against it. And who knows how long it will take to ride to the Supreme Court.
Okay. Just before I come to AB with this one, Joseph, I mean, looking at the other case concerning the defection and all that, I know there are two separate issues, but is there any way one has a bearing on the other in any way, shape, or form?
Of course, that's the basis of the argument of the Rivers State government, that the moment you defect, it's automatic that you have left the House of Assembly. You've lost your position. So you cannot put something on nothing. If you're not a member of the House of Assembly, how can you be a speaker? And that is a very solid section of the Constitution. So you can't just wake up and say, you're a member of the House of Assembly when you have left the House of Assembly. That is their logic.
Right. AB, kind of get your thoughts in on this matter.
All I'll say as a non-lawyer, as a citizen, as a resident of River State, is that all the news from River State that should otherwise be leading the country, the sub-region, and hopefully the whole of Africa in things like tourism, even in things like advances in petrochemical development, all that, is about political fighting. I find that so unfortunate, so distracting, such a waste of both mental time and physical money. Because all this energy, if applied in this same manner to developing the people at every level, would mean that Rivers will be a haven of happiness, and people will be coming in and out of there, making and creating fortunes creatively. So I just feel it is most unfortunate that those who are privileged with getting the opportunity to lead the state, present and in the past, are engaged in this very distracting battle, if you want to call it. But it's so, never in all of these am I hearing the word the people of River State ... It's always this head or that head. It's unfortunate.
Well, let's hope for a logical conclusion to this particular matter. Let's move on to some other issues that we need to talk about. We're heading into the Daily Trust, AB, and this has to do with the Federal Road Safety, or the FRSC, as a bill to create a special armed squad for that particular unit, as well as other provisions to make the agency operate better, has been passed for second reading at the House of Representatives. Now, the bill, sponsored by Representative Abiodun Darian Adeshida and Rep. Olaide Latif Mohammed, seeks to amend the Federal Road Safety Commission FRSC Act 2007 to provide for the establishment of the FRSC Special Armed Squad. Now, first of all, this issue of the FRSC, being armed and all that, we've been hearing this for, a number of years, but it's debunked, it's not true, and so on and so forth. But we are here, we have something concrete, which leads me to the question, do we need an FRSC armed squad?
Now, the whole notion of the Federal Road Safety Committee being necessary as a whole could be a completely separate conversation, because the activities that they carry out could be very much part of the remit of policing, keeping safety, keeping the peace, and all that. So let's set that aside. So you now have a Federal Road Safety Commission. It exists. What is their role? To keep, educate riders, manage the things to do with the driver's licenses, etc. How is holding a gun, even if it's for a limited number of their personnel, part of making the roads themselves safe? or the road user's behavior. So are you telling me that the only way to make a road user behave is to threaten him with the barrel of a gun? Part of this part of this bill had something to do with using technology, where you can detect vehicles. So listen, sometimes you've seen the story of the FRS where somebody is carried into a vehicle and a driver being mischievous carries the FRSC official on the way or carries them on their bonnet. I've seen some videos like that. Those people should be able to be tracked and punished without you pointing a gun. Because listen, already as it stands, we hear of these unfortunate incidences of what's that thing, stray bullet and all that. Is a bullet in a gun going to make roads safer? Remember, there's even a ruling that said FRS cannot even talk to anybody except on a federal road. So you are going between Abuja and Lokoja, you come across FRSC. What are they doing right now that would be done better if they point a gun at me? I'm just asking the question. So I feel this is another example of the National Assembly not knowing what to do with the huge amount is paid. It is another example of a waste of national time. And one of the things that does not address any of the national priorities. Federal road safety. Can I drive with no fuel? Is that not what I should be trying to do to make it possible for me to commute less? You're telling me federal road safety should carry gun. How is that in and of itself? The arming of certain elements, a special squad as it is, of the FRC, enhancing the safety of and on federal roads. I cannot see the nexus between arming a person and making road users drive better. I can't see it. Maybe one of our brilliant listeners can help me point it out.
It's wondering what AB talked about the role of the National Assembly. It's sad that this whole thing, this bill, was passed. That step of the first reading passed by voice vote, which means that it wasn't really even debated unanimously. They just somebody presented a bill. They just yeah. That's it. So this is something that ought to be debated. The pros and cons of this bill, or particularly arming them, should have been properly examined and debated. And I'm sure that I'm actually saying that stakeholders really rise up now. Nigerians have to wake up and challenge this process before they roll it out as a law, as an amendment. Because if you all just keep quiet, that's what will happen. Just like the national anthem, it will just pass. And everybody will say, yeah, and then it's gone. The Senate will go and not give it a nod. And it was the origin of this. Every of the paramilitary arms in Nigeria seems to be carrying arms. Immigration, customs, civil defense. So road safety feel they are out. They are the only ones who are left out. That's just the original. So somebody's gone to lobby that they should carry arms, and that's all. So we see them carry arms because prisons, they carry arms. So they are the ones left out. That's just the thinking that's behind this thing. So we're not giving deep thoughts. And just like AB said, how is it going to make the road safer? How is it going to make roads safer?
These are the questions. All right, let's take a break right now. When we come back in, we'll still be talking about matters that have to do with weaponry, as it were. We'll take it out of the Guardian. But keep your thoughts coming in on WhatsApp on 0809-444-0981. Freshly pressed on Smooth 98.1. We'll be back in a bit. I don't understand this whole craze. Let's carry gun. Let's carry gun. I really don't. And we've heard about it for like years ago when it's the FRS has mandated, they'll debunk it and so on and so forth. But hey, like you said, how does that help their primary function?
That is, have you done the work you were given? Let's say you have done it so well that you are looking for additional things to do. Then you can become an armed. But the roads are unsafe. They carefully place themselves where there are bad pieces of road, so you must slow down. So they must interact with you. I mean, Your role should be to make sure there are no bad pieces of road. Anyway, yes, sometimes when there's a terrible incident, they help control traffic. I'm not doubting that. But that could easily be the police role. I don't know whether there's any such special such safety thing in America that we like to use as our model, as our road modem, as somebody said once.
All right, let's go back. You're just tuned in. If you're just tuning, welcome to Freshly Pressed on a beautiful Feel Good Friday morning on Smooth 98.1, your love music, love live station. It's a smooth breakfast. Ayokunmi right here with you. We're taking a look at the papers, the headlines making the rounds. Freshly Pressed is what you are listening to. Welcome to the conversation. AB and Joseph are analyzing the stories with me this morning. You can also get your thoughts in on 0809 444 0981. 0809 444 0981. Also, we're streaming on YouTube. You can catch us at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Damilola from Lagos Island says, if this is for you, AB, he says, we have a large insecurity problem. More armed personnel on our roads, especially interstate highways, may not be a bad thing. However, harassment of normal road users can't be ruled out and should be mitigated against. Okay, Damilola getting his thoughts in there. JP says the quality of thought process at the legislative arm needs to be questioned. We might as well make arms legal. It's so sad. We have the brightest minds as a nation, but we can't get the simplest things right due to selfish aims. FRSC and guns? How? It's just sad. Cheers. Cheers to you too. JP, thank you for sending your message in. Deji from Isola says the bill for the FRSC to carry firearms is undoubtedly irrelevant. We just heard of some soldiers that attacked the police personnel and eventually killed him. Okay. Because I don't see the relevance. It's easy to shoot at a speeding vehicle. The bill has to be suspended. Wish you a great day. Wish you a great day as well, Digi. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Let's get back into the stories. And like I said, we're talking more about arms this morning. So, Joseph, I'm coming to you, coming out of The Guardian. Now, the chief executive officer of the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, the NFIU, Hafsat Abubakar Bakari, has expressed concern over the inflow of weapons into the country from Libya. Now, NFIU head strategic communication Sani Tukur in a statement quoted Bakari to have stated this when she led a delegation to participate in a roundtable organized by the Center for the International Private Enterprise in Washington, D.C. AB, we already, Joseph, we already have a serious insecurity problem in the country now. The NFIU head is saying that it's written an alarm over an inflow of weapons from Libya. Now, we know the issues that have been happening in Libya and how it has become a hotbed for illegal arms proliferation and all that. Now, these arms, according to the CU, are finding their way into Nigeria. Now, we also know our issues when it comes to banditry, terrorism, and so on and so forth. How concerned should we be?
Very concerned. We should be very, very concerned. And why is it that Nigeria seems to be an attraction? You have a large population. Our large population is a big market. It means that whatever you bring in here, you can sell in large number. So, and there's a ready market for this. And in fact, records says that we have records say that we have 6.1 million illegal arms that are floating in Nigeria. 6.1 million floating in Nigeria. And this is possible because our borders are porous. We have very large, improperly policed borders. So it means that things can really pass through, smuggled in. And then let's not talk about the ones that come in actually through the sea and the ports.
Right.
They are imported as if they are importing cars. And they come in because our officers are corrupt. They connive with some individuals in the customs and they get cleared. For out of every 2 or 3 cases you hear the customs intercepted this, 7 more have passed. In fact, there is a report that was done by Daily Trust that said that multi-billion naira illegal arms entered Nigeria 23 times in 7 years. In 7 years, 23 times.
That is a lot.
Now, this fuels not just insecurity, we generally we suffer from, but then illicit drugs and illegal theft of our natural resources, like mining. Our solid minerals are being stolen, and partly related to the insecurity in the Northwest and all this is the undercurrent of how to control where those resources are, those mines are. So there are foreigners who are involved. It's a cartel, and they are running this whole thing, selling guns to these people, arming them, destabilizing communities, and then while they are stealing, mining illegally. And we seem helpless. The government seems helpless. We have governors accusing one another. Oh, we are the ones sponsoring them, and so on. And what's really at stake? Getting control of the solid minerals in those areas.
Don't forget, we can say we're helpless, but we have not, to my knowledge, acted on that list that was provided by the UAE some years ago of people that they had determined were involved in terrorism financing. Because listen, I don't know about you, Ayo, but if you put a gun in front of me right now, it is likely I cannot afford it. This is like Joseph has a multi-billion naira business. So there are people who finance it. This is not puff money. So you must be able to trace, and that's why, because I asked myself, why is the NFIU head talking about it? Well, it's about big money and hiding the source of money and where it's going. So yes, it's a finance-driven thing. You cannot tell me that those kind of billions are able to move around without detection. Then you in the NFIU are also failing at your job.
You want international support.
Exactly. But you haven't done the one you are supposed to do. Like FRS has not FRSC than they want guns. Okay.
Let me take a comment here on YouTube. Emmanuel Ramos says, how many road safety patrol vehicles have basic first aid boxes in them? This should have been one of the things that should be considered for road safety responses. Thank you, Emmanuel, for that. Ibrahim Zakari says, another confusion is about to happen with this arms bearing of the FRSC proposition. Maybe they want to start chasing armed robbers. This bill should be rejected vehemently. This is coming in from Theo from Ojalaba says, if road safety wants to expand their scope into security, they should form a special committee for gathering intelligence from our roads and collaboration with other security agencies rather than carrying the arms themselves. All right, thank you for that. AB, let's talk education here. The federal and Premium Times is where we're heading to. The federal government has restated its commitment to reduce the incidence of out-of-school children through enhanced budgetary allocation and sustained advocacy. Now, Vice President Kashim Shettima made the commitment at the International Conference on Girl-Child Education, organized by the Nigerian Governors Forum on Thursday in Abuja. Now, Mr. Shettima, who was represented by the Deputy Chief of Staff to the President, Ibrahim Hadija, said statistics on out-of-school children in Nigeria are a stark reminder of the urgency of this mission.
I want to overlay something in this story about the one that Joseph just took, where in some of the states, over 60% of the children have been deemed as out of school. Zamfara is one of those states. There's a coincidence with that being one of the states where we hear all this about terrorism by any name you want. So you create the conditions where you don't educate people. You give them few options. It makes terrorism attractive, quote unquote, to them. At least it makes it available. Then you don't check this inflow of weaponry. You arm people, and you are wondering why insecurity has a wide, spread across the land. We're talking about states where, in some cases, 66% of children are out of school. In Bauchi, 64.8 in Kebbi, 63.8. So if you're walking on the streets, you see 3 children, literally 2 of them have no school. This is not a crisis. This is not an emergency. This is a tragedy. I mean, maybe for people like me who grew up in a university community where every kid that we all walked in squads to school and walked in squads back, we would fight, we would throw sand at each other. School was taken as a way of life. But here you are talking about children, 2 out of 3 literally not going to school. So we're talking about we're restating a commitment. You know what? I don't want to hear restating. Do it already. Too many we shall, we will. Give us the practical solutions. Step 1 will be, step 2 will be, yeah, you're talking about improving budgetary allocation and advocacy. Advocacy must play a very major part of this, because this was all said, to say it very quickly, at a conference on enhancing the girl child. This, I should note, is also a part of the nation where culturally some practices that are not helpful for the girl child go on. One of them being early marriage that is not frowned upon. So it's multi-layered. Advocacy must go hand in hand with any budget you want to increase. Advocacy, I would think, from the height of the cultural institutions, to say we must preserve our girls to minimum age of 18 before they are betrothed. We're not talking about marriage. They should not even be promised in marriage until they are 18 and have a say, somewhat of a say in it. Anyway, so I don't want to hear about we shall do it.
Talking about we shalls and we do's, it just takes me back to a story that came out in August or thereabouts, where the Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Maman, was speaking to journalists and talking about his achievements so far. And he mentioned that in total, enrollment of children in basic education as well as non-formal education had increased from 30 million to 55 million, and 4 million children will be taken off the streets annually in the next 3 years of the president's administration. Now, that seems at odds with the statement that was made on behalf of Vice President Chetima. I mean, if you're saying the numbers are alarming, but the Minister of Education had said just 2 months ago, given those numbers, there doesn't seem to be a synergy right there.
This is the issue. Sometimes people forget that things are said, and the internet never forgets. We're able to go back and Google earlier statements. And being in the news business, we might be a bit more familiar with these headlines than the average person. But that's just to say there is a bit of policy diarchy or policy misunderstanding among themselves. So they really need to get their act together and understand about an agreed set of facts. Then it's only from there you can work on improving the situation.
All right, let's take messages to round up. Ayokunmi says, this move to arm the FRSC in the midst of this terrible situation confronting the masses is uncalled for, even as the role of the FRSC in traffic management is still subject to serious controversy. Barrister Dan Okuda says, the members of the National Assembly should go and look for another job, as it's very clear that they don't have any serious job. How does arming the Road Safety Corps bring any value to the life of the already disillusioned Nigerians? Oluwaseyi says, we're talking about raw power here, the ability to intimidate. Road safety don't want to be left out. They want to be able to pull their weight as well. The ability to intimidate the citizens. VIO will soon petition the National Assembly for the right to carry arms as well. I bet they're already lobbying to do so as we speak.
The only group left is Boy Scouts to carry arms. And Girl Guides.
Oh my goodness. Let me sneak one more in. Michael says, currently at the filling station, 20,000 will get me 19 liters now. I could fill my tank with this amount as at January 2024. That's just 10 months, 9 months ago, 10 months ago, thereabouts. I am in serious pains. Michael, we see you. We feel your pain as well.
Yeah, we all in it together, brother.
We're all in it together. Okay, Tony says, on arms coming in from Libya, don't forget the expose of the investigative journalist Usaya Shoyombo, who has video evidence against Nigerian customs who enable gun smuggling into the country. Till today, the whole ugly development has been swept under the carpet. Shame on those who are meant to keep the law, now destroying said laws. And on that note, we need to call it a morning on Freshly Pressed. Thank you so much, AB and Joseph. Always a pleasure having you on the show.
Always great, Ayo.
Nice. Pleasure to Ayo. You guys have a wonderful weekend ahead.
All right, and you too. Lagos, thank you for coming through as always and sharing your messages. A pleasure as always. Keep it tuned to the Smooth Breakfast. We'll get into the world of sports in the locker room at 8:15. Don't go anywhere.
All right, guys.
Take care, guys.